Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Let me know if you're on their faith journey, or if God is like calling you to do things and you're kind of like hesitant because you just don't know what to do. Let me know in the comments. So before we get started for the second portion of the video of how God moved me to Dallas, Texas, with no job and no money, I did want to include a clip, which I'm doing right now. Okay, that I'm doing right now, that I didn't mention in the first part. And the reason why I like broke it into two is because it was like so long. So I was like, okay, let me just break the video into two parts. But I do want to talk about more of like the faith part, and like the faith with action, because I didn't mention that in the first part and I'm just like, dang. But so in the beginning of 2023, like in January, right? Because like a lot of times, we have faith um and we speak things, we declare things over our lives, but we don't put the work, or we don't follow up with it with action, right? And so even if like you heard from my part one, so if you haven't watched my part one of how God moved me to Dallas, watch that first and then come back, and then everything will start to make sense. But so yeah, with that, and I know like in my video I was kind of saying like how my faith was kind of like rocky a little bit, and even though it was still rocky, I still was having faith, and I had put action towards my faith, because it says in the word, with faith without works is dead, right? And so what I did far as me putting my faith into action was, so at the beginning of 2023, I literally, because like Sarah Jakes had a Woman Evolve conference here in Dallas in September, right? And so in January, I was just like, you know what, God, I'm going to buy this ticket. I'm going to purchase this ticket. And I'm believing you, God, for you to move me to Dallas, Texas before the conference starts. So I literally purchased my ticket to go to Sarah Jakes' conference here in Dallas, because I said, you know what, I'm believing God to do that for me. And even when like people say, get prepared, like prepare, as you wait. And so what I did within that too was I start packing. I start packing my stuff. I start putting in boxes. Like, it's so crazy. I want to say I would insert a clip of a picture that I put, and I had like a box and it says Dallas, Texas on it. And when I was back at home, it just looked weird in my room, because I'm just like, it's like boxes in there, and I'm just like, ain't nothing happening right now. So I'm just like, But yeah, that was my part that I wanted to include in this clip before we get started on the part two. But yeah, like when it comes to having faith, a lot of times it can be frustrating. It can be challenging. And for me, that was very challenging for me. I'm doing all these things. I purchased a $200 some ticket to go to a Woman Evolved conference, which I end up going. So that's crazy. So go back to that part where I purchased the ticket. So I purchased it in December. I mean, not December, I'm sorry, in January. And I'm believing in the Lord to move me before the conference starts. Tell me why tell me why I moved before the conference, right? And so the conference was September the 14th to the 16th. Tell me why I got to Dallas, Texas, September the 13th, a day before the conference. Look at God. Like, it's just all in his timing. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day. But back to like faith, it can be very challenging. It can be frustrating, because faith requires of things that we cannot see in Hebrews 11:1. So it's just basically the things that we cannot see, right? And a lot of times we want to see it before we believe it, right? And I think even in my journey of moving, God was requiring me to really lean on my faith, and when things was not making sense or I wasn't able to see it. But I just wanted to include that little portion before we get started on my second part of the video. So again, let me know if this video had helped you or resonate with you. Let me know if you're on your faith journey, if God's calling you to move, what has He's been telling you, and how have you been activating your faith. Just let me know in the comments, and we're going to get in part two. Like I said, you know what, I'm going to go and visit Dallas, and I'm going to go apartment shopping. So I went apartment shopping, and I also asked God in my fast, I said, if you really want me to move to Dallas and I have no job, that I get approved for an apartment that I love and that it has a special, right? And so I went to Dallas, I viewed apartments, and I remember this lady, she was my Uber driver. She was taking me to one apartment that I was going to look at, and she just told me, she said, God is going to deliver your promise, and it's going to happen suddenly. Remind you, this lady don't know me for nothing, okay? And she said that, and I was just like, okay, like, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe it's Dallas, like the promise, you know, because that's what God promised me, right? And so like later on that day, I went to the apartment that I am currently in now. I loved it, fell in love with it, and I did the application. And I kind of did a 1-day trip. Got on a flight that morning, flew to Dallas, and then turned around and came back home that same day. And so as I was going back to the airport from visiting the apartment that I'm currently in now, as I was in the apartment, I got an email from the actual apartment, and it was like, I got approved for the apartment. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, wow. So that was another confirmation. This is 2 confirmation that God wants me to move. Okay. Fast forward. I started to get a little discouraged because I'm like, my human flesh, because I'm like, I don't got this, I don't got that. Like, how is this going to work? Like, you know, am I really going to find a job? I was just starting to worry and all that type of stuff, because this is huge for me. I've never done this. Like, God is literally requiring a lot out of me, right? And I was just starting to feel really discouraged. I was having anxiety, and then there were people that were saying things that were making me iffy or shaken about what God has already told me and confirmed to me. And so I was just like, I just had to literally tune out everybody and just really focus on God, right? So I buckled down, because I even told one of my older sisters, I was like, I don't think I want to do this. I was like, I almost talked myself out of it twice. And my sister was like, you have come too far. You have come too far. So I said, okay. I said, you know what? I'm not going to miss my season, because no, we're not going to miss our season, okay? Because God can bless you. He'd be like, all right, it's time to go. And if you don't go, then you're gonna have to wait till another season time, or when God comes back around with that season or whatever. And I was just like, I don't want to miss my season. I don't want to wait extra amount of years to wait to come here, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go, I'm going to pack my stuff. I barely packed a lot of stuff. I just packed a little bit of my clothes. I didn't take no furniture, I didn't take no bed, no nothing. I just literally got my clothes and I put it in my car. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to ship my car. I wasn't able to get on a plane. I drove. I had my older sister to come with me to help me on this journey. And so I am very thankful for her helping me to come all the way to Texas. So yes, so we got in the car and I drove from North Carolina to Mississippi. We stopped there as our midpoint, and then from Mississippi to Dallas. So overall total of hours of driving was 18. I drove to North Carolina to Texas. Did I want to take that route? No, I did not. No, ma'am. But you know, God has other plans. And so, so I got here. I'm like, all right, cool, great. I'm still freaking out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't really have that much right now. And at that time, like, once we moved, you know, I had got us a little bit of groceries and all that type of stuff. And I was like, you know, I don't really have, like, my funds are starting to get a little low, because I was like, I'm gonna have to wait until I get paid again, like my last paycheck at my other job. And when I tell you how God has been providing for me, and just to go back to where I was like questioning, like, how in the world, like, I've been trying to put money in my savings account, and every time I put something in my account, it's always taken out. And I just kept hearing the Lord was just like, He's going to provide. Like, God will provide. God will provide. And how He has used people to help me along this journey, how He had provided for me. Like, I literally was not expecting this person to bless me for this significant amount of funds, you know, just to carry me through. Like, I literally, like, I barely had anything in my savings, I mean, not savings, but in my account. And just how God just used this person. Is like, hey, you need this? I didn't ask for no money, because I'm not that type of person that would like to ask for money or anything. I'm just not. Like, I'd rather just have my own, and don't have to go to people and be like, hey, can I get such and such amount of money? Like, I'm just not that type of person. But this person volunteered and was willing to say, hey, is X amount of money, basically, yeah, like X amount of money good for you? I'm like, oh my God, like, this wasn't no $200. This was more than 200. This is more than 400. That's just more than that, like about close to $1,000 we're talking about, where this person was like, hey, you need this amount of money? Yeah, that would be great. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you. That person sent it to me, and to be honest, it has blessed me. It had carried me on through that month. I was able to pay a little bit of bills, because I mean, I have a car note, and then at that time I had to get my own car insurance. So within that month, like, I was able to carry through. And so after a while, that money started to go down a little. Like, it was starting to, like, okay, we about using almost all the money now. And here's October. At this time, it was in September. In October, it's coming in, and I'm just like, oh wow. I was like, oh God, wait a minute. I started freaking out again. I got here. Did I have a job yet? No, I didn't. I'm applying. I had an interview. Didn't get that position, even though the interview went well. And the ladies spoke highly of me, that recommend me or whatever. And I didn't get the job. I actually interviewed for another higher position, didn't get the job. So I'm over here just getting discouraged. I said, God, why did you leave me out here? Why did you bring me all the way out here? And you know I need funds to take care of these responsibilities, right? And I'm over here just like, I'm crying. I'm over here just like freaking out. I'm just like, God, why did you leave me? Why? Like, why did you bring me all the way out here just to leave me hanging? I'm like, God, you know I need a job. You know I need a job. And so it's so crazy, because like, once I got here, I found this like Bible study group. It's called Lit Bible Study. And even like me going to those like Bible study sessions and just hearing people's testimonies was like in something similar to that I was in. They had, or they got laid off at that job, or they didn't have the funds and they had bills to pay, and how God just blessed them, how God was able to provide for them. And I felt like God was trying to use them to encourage me to say, I got you, boo. Did I not say I am a provider? Like, God is Jehovah. Like, He is a provider. Like, He will provide for His kids. And so I'm just like, okay, if God brought me all the way here, then I'm going to be okay. That God's going to provide for me. He's going to look out for me, right? And so after I'm having my little moment, because I'm like, how in the world I'm going to pay for this? I'm like, I don't really have much money to pay this amount, or my car note, now I got car insurance. That's an additional payment. And I'm just like, oh my God. what am I going to do? And again, God provide for me. And so, and it was crazy because I was in my car and I was just like really just giving up at that point. I was like, I probably am about to go back home, and my mom probably gonna look at me like, well, welcome back home, my child, but kind of thing. And I remember God was like, okay, apply for here, you know. So I did. I got in touch with this particular company or agency, and I was like, I'm looking for this, blah blah blah, and it was like, okay, we have this. And so I was able to get an interview for this particular job that I am now at, but I think I just spoiled it. Okay, anyway, so I had an interview where at this job that the agency scheduled for me, and I remember just going on another fast. I was like, God, I trust you in this. I know that I'm here because there's an assignment that I have to do here in Dallas. And I know you're going to provide for me. I know you're going to provide a job for me. So not my will, but your will be done, right? And I remember me that day of going to the interview. I sure did anoint myself. I do got some anointing oil. And I anoint myself. I sure did on my little forehead and went to that interview. I said, God, that you go before me, that you give me the wisdom that I need. And so I went to that interview. I let the Holy Spirit take over, and I leave the interview. I got on the phone with the agency. They were just like, okay, like, tell me how the interview went. I said, it went good. And I was just telling them what they said. And so she was like, okay, well, most likely I'll probably give you a call of the decision they will make maybe tomorrow. They might give me a call later on today, but just be on the lookout for me to give you a call the next day. So I said, okay, cool. As I'm driving back home, I get the call from the agency. They was like, hey, they want to offer you the job. Y'all. You know, God is so good. And it's crazy because even once I got here, I went to Sarah Jake's conference, right? The Women Evolve conference, and it was just so beautiful. I mean, it was just so powerful, and it was just wonderful. It was great. And I remember even with the song that they were singing, it's called the Ontime God. Y'all should definitely check it out. And the part, some of the lyrics, it was saying that, how it go? He loves doing the impossible, and then he loves doing miracles. And that he is an on-time God. And then he always shows up, even when we feel like God is nowhere to be found. And I remember me even playing that song when I went to the interview. And when I heard the lady was like, oh yeah, congratulations, you got the job. And I'm over here like, the song just popped up, like the on-time God. Like, God is just so awesome. And he has been blessing me, and he has just been confirming me that this is really what he wants me to do, even though this journey wasn't an easy journey. I mean, it required a lot of faith. It required me to really trust in the Lord. It was scary as I don't know what, but I'm so glad that I did it. And here I am. I'm like freaking out at this point, because I'm like, Lord, you know, like, you see what I have. I don't have this much money to be taking all this. I'm like, my rent about to be due soon, and I'm like, how in the world are we gonna do this? And he came on time. What's that saying? He might not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Like, legit. I see it. I see it now. Like, I literally see it. Like, it has literally happened in my life. Like, God has literally present like miracles in my life, and it's so crazy because even when I was like back home and I felt this anxiety and like wanting to talk myself out of it, and even the last confirmations that I got or received, and just hearing what this person was saying, like what God really wanted me to do and why I'm out here. oh, I know, now I know why I was going through an anxiety, why I was second guessing myself. It was because the enemy knew that he saw that I'm about to be great. Like, he saw what God has in store for me here in the spiritual realm. So he's like, oh yeah, let me try to talk her out of it. Let me try to get her to be discouraged, or have people to discourage her. And oftentimes, like, we have to stand firm on what God has said us and told us, because you just never know what's on the other side. You just never know what God really has for us. And a lot of times the enemy sees things in the spiritual realm that we can't see. So his job is trying to steal, kill, and destroy. And we're not letting him take nothing. Okay, period. We're not letting the enemy take nothing, because it doesn't belong to him. And I'm so glad that I went through this journey, even though it wasn't the best, but I'm so glad. And I feel like God had to literally break me out of it. Like I mentioned, in 2022, like, God was literally preparing me. He really was like working my faith, and he was working on me trying to trust in him, because in this season I was in, I really had to lean on the Lord. I really had to trust in him. I really had to have faith in, like, even though I could not see it, it did not make sense, it didn't make human sense. But when it comes to God, sometimes, like, things don't make human sense. It don't. It be making sense for him, but it doesn't make sense for us. But we just have to stay encouraged and just to stand firm in what he told us in the word, and that his promises, and that he keeps them. Because at one point I was, I'm a Christian, and I had little trust issues with God. I was like, I believe that he can do things for other people, but he can't do things for me. And see, that was the thing, that when I asked God, I said, what do I need to work on? He was like, you don't trust me. I need you to start trusting me. And God was literally working me through that. And even in this walk, in this journey of me moving to Dallas, like, he was teaching me, like, I need you to trust me, because I got you. He loves me enough that he won't leave me nor forsake me. And so, and I had to really believe that. And even though there's still some things that I'm not fully like, oh yeah, like, I have this amount of faith. Like, there's days and times, like, I'm like, all right, my faith is a little bit, but then I have to realize and remember, like, God had got me through this. If God can bring me through this, if God can take me through this, then he can do it again. He can do it again. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I have a job now. I have an apartment that I love. I'm in a city that I love and that God has promised me, and I'm actually just seeing it. Like, I'm seeing the promise, like, unfold. Like, it's here, and I'm just like, wow, like, I can't believe I'm literally in Dallas, Texas, right? So I just wanted to say to just believe, have faith. It's, as it says in the word, it's impossible to, without faith, it's impossible to please God, and to really trust him when you don't see it. Continue to keep praying. Another scripture that kept me going was Galatians 6:9. Says, don't get weary of doing good, but at the right time you will reap a harvest full of blessings if you don't give up. Don't give up on praying. Don't give up on fasting. Don't give up on believing and having faith, because you just never know. At the right time, you will reap a harvest full of blessings. But that's if you don't give up. So don't give up, sis. Don't give up, bro. Don't. Keep going. Continue to pray. Continue to do whatever it is, whether it's applying for school, applying for a job, whether it's doing what you're like, your calling. Don't give up. Because one day you're going to reap a harvest full of blessings. And so I just want to encourage you today and share my testimony of how I got to Dallas and how God has been amazing. And people won't know who God is if we don't share our testimonies. And so I just want to share my testimony and just give you the look of how God has been in my life. And I just hope that God has do it for you, and that God loves you, and he cares for you. I just wanted to share my testimony, and I just wanted to share the goodness of the Lord, and I hope it bless you. Peace.